I am going to do my own practice this evening. So I figured we were talking about supporting your current practice with some yin or some more restorative poses, which, as we know, balanced with more active and yang, harder, faster, more power poses can be a great support to restoring, for sleep, for bringing in some more nurturing and softening energy into not only your day, but your physicality. And just knowing that you can create and drop into ease, softening, receptivity. These are all the feminine qualities that we spoke about. So I will do some of the poses that'll just seem very familiar to you. Some I'll talk through, others I will just cue it and hold the breath. I'm going to go for minimum when we're doing a more restorative or a yin practice. We'll hold for minimum 5 to 10 breaths, so sometimes even more. Some yin practices will hold for 10 to 15 minutes a pose. So just know once you do this, you can slow it down. I'm not going to do a long practice here. Usually would do about an hour or so. So you could really slow these poses down even longer and hold them longer than I'm going to do here. I'm going to start by grounding and opening the hips. Forehead will be to the mat. If you need a little more support, you could put a bolster or a pillow that would offer some more support. Toes together, knees wide. They can even go off the mat. Reach your fingertips forward. Soften your shoulders down your back, forehead, like I said, to the mat, or you can cross your palms and prop your forehead on your wrists. Big cleansing breath in, hold at the top. Open mouth, exhale. Feel your hips soften, melting toward the floor, and just dropping any expectation of what this practice should look like or feel like, and drop into the roots, the tops of your feet, your ankle bones, and your pelvis, getting heavy as it drops down toward the floor, opening your hips naturally with the breath. Inhale. And exhale. This next inhale, mindful of that ujjayi breath, you could start to close down the back of the throat and create that vibration, that audible textured breath called ujjayi breath. Just slowly, not in a power way, but in a way that invites slow breath, invites meditative breath and presence. It's like you're sipping through a straw in the back of your throat, creating that oceanic sound that's nurturing and relaxing. The breath is long, equal inhale and exhale. Feeling the breath fill any tight spots. Starting to even melt the front body, the upper body, the chest into the mat. Your next inhale, activate your fingertips, bend your elbows, press up slightly, weave or thread, I should say, your right arm across your chest toward the left side of your body, palm facing up, arm coming right under your left armpit, and take your right ear to the mat. Just a gentle twist in the upper back. Staying with that long, slow, gentle Ujjayi breath, that meditative quality, and the hips are still square, equal pressure in both knees, hips square to the mat. As you breathe, feel the floor pressing against your outer right arm as your the right outer arm presses into the mat. Spread your right fingertips, palm facing towards the ceiling. On your next inhale, press up with your left hand, unthread your right arm, come through center for one breath, both arms reaching out and forward. And then press back up, inhale, thread the left arm under the right armpit, reaching out towards the right side of the room this time, palm facing up, fingers spreading wide. And melt your body into the floor, pressing the outer left arm onto the mat. Creating space through your hands, both hands. Invite relaxation. Breathe into any tension. Allow any tension to be your teacher. Press up. Reach both fingertips again to the front. On your next inhale, press up into tabletop. This is what tabletop looks like. So tucking the tail slightly. So we're not rounded or arched through the upper back. And we're not dipped too much in the lower back here in the lumbar. We're nice and engaged. Wrists, elbows directly under shoulders. Nice tuck of the tail. I'll tuck in here so you can see that. Right here, tucking the tail slightly. Engaging the lower abdominals up toward the spine, creating length, but perhaps even just shaking your head side to side, nodding up and down. Again, releasing any tension, and if it's there, welcome it as your teacher. Okay, this is where I need to soften. This is where I learn to receive. Inhale, look up, send your sit bones up, drop your lower belly, chest comes forward through the front arms, gaze comes up. Exhale, press the floor away, round your upper back. Inhale, exhale, pressing everything away as you release the air.
tucking your chin towards your chest. This is cat, cow, cow, cat. Inhale. Exhale. You could go as quickly or as slowly as you'd like through this. Some people really like to breathe and soften and loosen the muscles here real fast. Some prefer a nice slow. I'm in the mood for slow and long breath. We're lubricating the joints, creating opening through the spine. Tops of your feet can be flat, toes spread, or curled if you need a little bit more action in your feet, a little bit more stretch. Just did a long walk, so I'm just going to add a little bit more engagement in my toes here for 2 more. Come to neutral again. If you've started to sink into your shoulders, press the floor away so you've got a nice engagement. The abdominals, length is long in the spine. And I kind of call this wagging the dog. We're going to tick-tock, side to side, hip point. You might be able to see it better this way. Here, just tip. So right ear toward right hip point, left ear, left hip. I'm just getting the side body nice warmed up. You could still maintain nice long breaths. Doesn't have to be in sync with the movement here. And then we're going to start to bring a bit of sensuality, which is something we did speak about. We have spoken about rounding the lower spine here into circles. So a little bit of that kundalini type of energy, really in that sacral area, the bowl here. And it's sort of, this is what we're doing, but with the support of that tabletop position. We're getting the shoulders in. So we've got a rounding. This is really beautiful for the entire spine. Stay with your breath here, rounding. Nice long breath. Come back to neutral spine. Tail slightly tucked, tailbone slightly tucked. Neutral spine. Centering breath here before we push back into a nice downward dog. Nice long downward dog. Pressing the heels toward the floor. Hips back toward the back of the mat. All 5 fingers of each hand pressing equally into the mat. Melting the chest down and back toward your thighs. Notice where you can bring some softness. Just through your breath, not with a thought or an expression. Just bring the breath to whatever body part needs that opening. I'm pedaling my feet out. That's where I'm feeling it. Drop your head. Create space between your ears and your shoulders by allowing your head to drop and engaging your shoulders onto your shoulder blades, up toward your hips, up because we're upside down, that is. Then bend your knees so your shins are parallel with the mat. And then just open to the right, open to the left, open your knee to the right, feeling the engagement between your inner thighs, open to the left, squeezing that lower belt area, that sacral area, very important. Now here we're getting into some mini cat-cow, just like we did, with a little more power here. Pressing the palms of your hands into the mat, slight tail tuck. I'm going to show you from this angle. This is micro. Here we are, downward dog. Bend the knees here. Just slight tuck, tuck, and lift. Tuck and lift. This is amazing because we're getting into that sacral area, bringing a lot of blood flow there. A lot of energy. Knees stay parallel, high on the toes. Whew, 3 more. 1, 2, 3. Stretch it out. Long downward dog. Shake your head out if there's any tension at all. Just drop your head, drop your head. There's no need to hold on to anything at this moment. Just be in this present moment of breath, movement. Your only responsibility is creating space for your body to relax, release, and receive the benefits of breathing, the benefits of movement. Come back high on your toes. Look beyond your fingers. Step your feet forward. Halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Feet hip width ragdoll. You may invite a slight bend in your knees here. And gently sway side to side. Opening up the back of the legs. Releasing the back body with this beautiful Uttanasana, bound Uttanasana. If you have a sigh that needs to come out, let it out. If you're having a hard time letting go of the tension in your upper back, your neck, you may interlace your fingers above the curve of your cervical right here and hook your fingers together and just let your hands hang. Rest your fingers at the base of your skull. You can even wrap your elbows around your head and hang. And release. Halfway lift. Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise. Exhale, mini back bend, elbows wide. We've already warmed up our spine. This should feel okay. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, mini back bend. Elbows wide, fingertips wide.
Inhale, arms up. Exhale, fold. Halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise. And fold. Stay with that breath, that ujjayi. Slow halfway lift. Walk your hands out. Walk your feet back. Gentle high plank and lower. However you'd like. If you need your support with your knees, go for it. Otherwise, a slow reverse plank. Slow, 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 all the way down. Front body to the mat. Press up, mini cobra. Inhale. And lower. Exhale. Breath here. Again, cobra, taking the shoulders down the back. So your shoulders are not in your ears like this, but really lower. Oh, see that? That's the movement. The shoulder heads are never pointing down. They're parallel with the mat. Elbows are out, back, length. So really, in this cobra here, if I'm showing you the side view, you could really do it without pressing into the mat at all here because you're not collapsed. So cobra should never be from here. Elbows back, drawing the upper chest open, lifting through the upper back, never the lower back. Lift, 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 baby cobra here, and release. Bring your big toes together so there's a little bit more engagement in between the inner thighs, pressing the front of the pelvic floor to the mat. Lift up again, inhale, upper back lifts. Exhale, release. Inhale, press up to that plank. Exhale, down dog. Release your head all the way. If you have a round in your upper back here, press the mat away, hips go back. You can bring a slight bend into your knees if you need to. Just create length in the side body in this down dog. Space is the key. Space and ease. Breath in and out. Look forward. Step your feet to your hands. Lengthen. Halfway lift is the lengthen. Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise. Exhale, mini back bend. Receiving. This is what this practice is about. Inhale. And fold. Halfway lift. Fold. Inhale, rise with a deep squat here. Chair pose. And open up to the right. Nice twist. Twisting through the mid-thoracic here. Here. Ribs and up. Mid-thoracic, not through the hips. Open. Inhale. Exhale to the left. Open. See how the knees and the hips stay forward? Just gaze can come out to the left. Inhale, center. If the squat is more than you need, you may also do this standing and just open this way. Inhale, center. And then open to the left. But if you're ready, just get a little bit of that grounding in your roots. That tailbone root chakra, and the sacral chakra. This is what we're talking about. Sometimes I really even like to get into that deep squat here, that Utkatasana, chair pose. It's such a rooted, sorry, my eye is really itching me. It's such a grounding pose
If we really stand in our roots, I mean, you could press into your thighs. You know, press into your thighs, actually. Bringing your fists here. Bringing your fists and squeezing into your fists with your inner thighs, squeezing. And then pressing your fists in as you squeeze your inner thighs out. That's the engagement you want to feel in that Utkatasana. That's coming from the root here, that perineum area, where you do that Kegel, tuck in, up, build that Mula Bandha, that's that root chakra, right? The lock, all the way up through the Uddiyana Bandha right here, the sacral belly, and then you could squeeze, you can imagine that Utkatasana now. If you imagine your fists squeezing into your fist, pressing out with your fists, squeezing in with your fist, pressing out with your inner thighs. Wow, that's the engagement. Bring that energy all the way up. Now, through your fingertips, with that same engagement, open up to the right. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, arms up. Exhale to the left. Twist through the mid-thoracic, through the ribs, still squeezing. Feel those inner thighs as if you had the fists between your thighs, squeezing in. Inhale, arms up. Reach up, stand up. Exhale, cactus arms. Inhale, reach up. Forward fold. That's the engagement that we feel when we want to build our inner resources through the roots. Could you stand in that Utkatasana? Could you stand in that fire? Will you rise that energy up through your belly, right? And that's this too. Again, that we just did in our opening sequence, the cat-cow with the downward dog. And now we've got it here in this Utkatasana. Squeeze. Again, taking the fists here, squeeze. That's that much pressure. My legs feel like nobody could knock me over, right? There's the roots. There's the roots. There are my boundaries. There's my stance. But then I bring the softness, the creativity. Right here, movement, micro movement. Lift, squeeze, tuck. Sit bones back. Squeeze, receptivity. That's what that is. 3 more. 1. Toning the lower pelvic floor. 3. And reach up. Interlace your fingers behind your tailbone. Draw your knuckles down. Gaze comes up. Chest lifts. And then exhale, fold. Nice. Releasing, forward fold. Alternating. Knees bent. I'm bending my right knee and I'm taking my knuckles over to the right side. So I'm getting a bit of a shoulder stretch as well. IT band stretch on the left. And then inhale, halfway lift. Draw the knuckles back away from your head, creating length in the spine. This is also like a massage for the spine, really. And then take the knuckles over to the left side. Bend the left knee. Gaze comes up and over towards your right ear. And then inhale, lift. I should say right shoulder, really. And then exhale, fold. Release the head, release the shoulder. By releasing the hand, drop your head. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, arms down. And stand rooted in equanimity, balance, support on your own 2 feet. Feel the micro movements, the slight sway, like Santa's sleigh. The slight sway in your micro movements as you create equanimity.
as you create balance. As you invite peace into your own being, you are able to create it in your life. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, fold. Halfway lift and lengthen. It's again that Ardha Uttanasana, flat spine. Press your palms into the mat. Bend your knees as much as you need as you step back. High plank. Lower to the mat with knees or all the way through that chaturanga. Inhale up. Baby cobra. Exhale, forehead to the mat. Surrender your arms along the side of your body. Palms can be facing down, left cheek to the mat. Feel the weight of your body supported in this space. Now press up, Sphinx pose. Again, mini back bend here. Shoulders come down your back. Neck is long. Gaze can be out in front. Now take your left hand and bring it forward across your body. So it's just basically parallel with your mat. And take your right hand to your right foot and bend your heel towards your glute and open up your chest. Gaze comes toward your right foot. Mini back bend here, mini twist. Creating ease and flexibility. If you need to come down a little bit, you can do that by bringing your arm forward if that's too intense. Otherwise, bringing the palm out in front or across your body. And then release, other side. And you'll notice if you flex your toes, you'll get a little bit more glute engagement. If you point your toes, you get a little bit more stretch in the front of your chest muscles, your pec. So you decide what you need. Gaze comes back toward your left foot. Again, imagining the two fists between your thighs squeezing in. You want that inner engagement, building that squeeze of the inner thighs all the way through the root to the sacral chakra. Toning, activating, strengthening that pelvic floor. Bringing blood flow, energy, and attention there, presence. And release. It's time to bring your your right cheek to the mat. You're going to take your right knee and you're just going to open up. Taking the right foot back, pressing in both hands into the mat. Actually, the left arm is nice and long. And you could use the right hand almost like a kickstand to give yourself more of a twist. This is a very opening, receptive asana. The back foot's active. You can even feel the engagement of the right glute as you're kicking back. Great for lower spinal mobility. This time reaching right fingertips out and wide to the right as you twist your left knee open.
Pressing your pointed, that's between a point and a flexed, pointed toes to the mat, to the floor behind you towards the right. And unravel. Press the mat away as you lift your front body up. Gaze comes up and forward, forward and up. Maybe a little bit back as you start to create more of a back bend in the upper back. Squeeze the inner thighs. The inner thighs. Feel the pressure of the pelvis into the mat, knowing you're supported. As you release, let your arms come along your side, left cheek to the mat. Surrender for a nice long breath. Inhale. Exhale. Press your palms under your shoulders, right up into a high plank, to downward dog. Three nice, long, grounding breaths here. Full breaths as you breathe all the way to the heels. Rooting the hips back and down. Let's say up and back. Heels down and back. Feel the lengthening of the side waist from the hips all the way down to your fingertips, spreading the mat away from each point, the front and the back, getting longer. Creating more space with each inhale. Ground into both hands equally. Inhale your right leg up. Exhale, knee to nose, hinge forward. Bringing water-like quality through the shoulders. So you inhale back. Exhale, knee to nose, squeeze and round. Inhale your heel back. Right knee to nose, squeeze and round. And then plant your right foot between your hands. Get real deep and juicy here. Still bringing attention to receiving relaxation. Sometimes it means, it's a little effort. It doesn't have to just be lying on the couch. There's something nurturing about moving our bodies in an intentional way that isn't, always just complete relaxation, but through the breath, through the intentional breath, that audible sound, that oceanic quality of the Ujjayi breath, we can create relaxation through the intentional movement. So here I've got my back knee down. My toes can be either flexed, as you see, pivot just a little bit, flexed or flat, you decide. The idea is to get in, again, still engaging the inner thighs as if you still had right here the squeeze of the fists between the legs. We don't want to completely give up that engagement as we stretch forward. Toes tracking forward, knee tracking forward. Just stay here for a moment. Maybe I'm tighter than you are right now because I've run almost every day this week. So I'm going to stay here for a moment, just hinging forward, getting into that front left hip flexor. We spend so much time sitting in this sagittal plane right here, straight and narrow, We want to get a little bit of stretch, and then we're going to bring in a little bit of a lateral stretch too in just a second. Which is what we're going to start to do. Walk the toes out to the right side, maybe like 2 o'clock on the dial of a clock. Let that knee come out to the right a little bit. You can hinge forward. If you want to bend the back knee, the left knee, and grab the foot, you can. Galaxy pose. You've got my foot here. You can barely see it. But right here I've reached. If that's available for you, that's pretty amazing. I'll try to pivot a little bit so you can see what that looks like. Yeah, there we go. Again, flexed here, pressing the heel toward the glute is going to give you a little bit of a different feeling as opposed to a point here, which I'm feeling more in the front of the leg and the top of the foot. So here's an option. Stay. Other option is to just stay right here, which is still great. Allowing the right knee to splay open. If you'd like to give yourself an assist by actually pressing that right knee open, you may do that. Drop the head. Breathe into the root. Breathe into the sacral area. And release here. Hinge your hips back. Flex your toes towards your face. Drop your forehead toward your right knee. Two more breaths here. And now we're going to hinge forward again to that low lunge, this time lifting the left knee. And we're going to start to open up to the side of the mat. So you're getting into the side, bending still in the right knee, getting into a side lunge, and then a wide leg forward fold. Heels are out, toes slightly in, halfway lift, fold. Halfway lift to lengthen your spine. Exhale, fold. Drop your head. Halfway lift. This is my favorite way to ramp up the sensuality here in this pose. I'm starting to wag my tail. Remember we were doing that tail wag just a little bit in that tabletop. Here we go again, just wag side to side, almost like a tick-tock. Can you barely see it? Barely see it. Pressing, alternating pressure into the heels. Press, 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 wag the tail. Just release that sacral area. Creativity, sensuality, sexuality, complete authentic expression. And then lift. Fold. Walk your hands back to the front of the mat. This time, pyramid pose. Both legs are slightly straight. Halfway lift. Fold. Step your back foot forward. Halfway lift. And fold. Step your right foot back. A nice long lunge here. Active on the back toes first. And then lower the right knee. I'm going to flatten my toes here. You can keep them engaged if you'd like. And then again, both hands come forward. Again, we're still engaging the inner groin area. We're toning, strengthening, bringing lots of blood flow and attention. This time I didn't cue this the first time, but this is a good way to try to do that, just like we did the fists between the inner thighs in Utkatasana. A nice trick here is to really bring attention to that lower block, that Mula Bandha, all the way up to the Uddiyana Bandha below the belly button, is to squeeze the inner thigh against the outer arm bone. So I've got my left leg engaged, tucked right up into my left arm bone, squeezing, squeezing, squeezing. And then releasing and coming down. Bring lots of breath into that front hip flexor. Dropping the head. Deepening the breath. Starting to open onto the knife edge of the foot. Flexing the toes. Always want to flex the toes to protect the knee joint, ankle joint. You could get deeper into this hip flexor by pressing your palm into your inner left thigh. And this could be enough. You may drop your head and just hang here. Or like I did before, come into galaxy pose, where you're going to reach back for the bind. What this does is give you a little more stretch in the back front quadricep muscle, which I'm needing with all this running these days. Deep hip opening. Receive the burn by intentionally breathing into any tension. Creating ease with breath. Opening a little more each breath at a time. One more. Inhale. Exhale, release. Or just come back to center if you were in the long lunge, bringing the right knee back in, the left knee back in toward the midline, and then hinging the hips back. Flexing your toes towards your face. Dropping your forehead toward, that's what you've been hearing, is my mother's dog. She's about to jump right into the screen, I think. And then come into a nice low lunge. Active back toes. Pivot again, this time to the side of the mat. So you've got a nice long side lunge here. The back toes can dial up like this. See that? Yeah. And then again, wide leg, forward fold. Drop your head. Sighing out any tension. Sometimes pulling my ponytail to really get some more release. Halfway lift. Again, practicing the butt wag. I learned this in a specific type of training. Right here. It's a little strange, but once you get it, it's a really nice, subtle opening. Love that root chakra. Supporting the sacral chakra, heel, just sort of a tilt. Keep shifting the weight from heel to heel is a good way to practice, but really releasing those hips. Wag. Unapologetically. Halfway lift. Bring your heels this time in, knees wide, horse pose. Now, really bringing in the energy, the yin, that sacred bowl, that tail tuck that we started with. Tuck, mini cat-cows here. Toning the pelvic floor. Claiming our power. Strengthening our roots. 5 more. Keeping the shoulders out of your ears, lengthening through the side waist. Hold here.
And then star pose, reaching up. It's okay, Lily. She keeps scratching. And then a nice deep squat. Again, star pose, inhale. Being all you are, fully expressing, taking up space. And then deepening again. Pressing your hands into your inner thighs. Drop your right shoulder. Nice side body stretch here. Twisting. Really less of a stretch, I guess, than a twist. Gaze comes up behind your left shoulder. Big inhale. Exhale, deepen the twist. Inhale through center. Inhale your right heel up. Lower. Left heel up. Lower. Right. Lower. Left. Lower. Both up. Lower. Hands to your inner thighs. Drop your left shoulder down. Gaze comes up. Big breath. And release, star pose, inhale. Hands to heart, forward fold. And wag. Drop your head. Let your hips open. Bringing vitality, ease, blood flow, sensuality, joy, passion, ease, grace. Malasana, deep squat. We're grounding into our roots. Heels are down, toes are wide. If you have a hard time getting into this, you can put some blocks here and you could sit on blocks. You could sit on a thick pillow if you had a bolster, something like that. Otherwise, I mean, really, some people get into Malasana like this, which is a little bit more of a restorative. This is fine. This is a little more active. And hip opening. You choose. Two more breaths here. And then come to your knees. Virasana, hero's pose. Tops of your feet may be flat or curled if you'd like a little more action. Just ground and center for one more breath. Inhale. And exhale. Knees come wide. And we're going to go back to where we began in child pose. Notice what you notice. Acknowledge what space you may have created compared to 54 minutes ago. And with this openness, what is possible for you? With more ease, what is possible for you? With more grace, what is possible for you?
with more receptivity what is possible for you. With more acceptance what is possible for you. With more softness and kindness towards yourself, what is possible for you. And press up, back through tabletop, onto either hip, and straight onto your back. To child pose. So your back is flat, tucking your tail slightly so your full spine, if possible, is touching the mat. Receive the outer edge of your feet with your hands. You can take your thumbs and press onto the top of your toe ball mound, or the big toe, as an anchor to open up. A lot of us are curled, so our feet curl in, the outer edges curl in. Make great effort to really get your feet flat as if they were standing on the ceiling, pressing up the ceiling. Flex your toes towards your face, pressing your fingers into the outer edge of your feet, creating more space through your inner thighs. Knees are wide as your mat or wider. Shoulders come down toward the mat. Nice long spine. You can rock side to side, inviting a little joy, a little play. They call this happy baby. You might want to call it happy partner pose. Whatever, you're receiving, you're open, you're ready to play with life, create your life. This is the ultimate asana in receptivity and openness. Notice what it feels like to be this open. Notice what it feels like to be this receptive. Take the soles of your feet together, pressing them together, taking your heels down to the floor for Supta Baddha Konasana. This is butterfly pose on the mat, so it looks like this. Soles of the feet are pressing together. Knees are out wide. If you have any props, you might want to put 2 blocks or 2 rolled towels under your thighs so your legs can really start to open here. You might even prop yourself, the front of your feet up against a wall so your feet don't slip away from your body. But it gives you a little bit more opening. Again, if you're engaging through the Mula Bandha, through that lower lock, that perineum up through the belly button lock, you'll create some engagement. One hand to your heart, one hand to your belly. The hand to heart, hand to belly is like a mudra. A mudra is a hand practice, or like a shape that your hand makes as a meditation. And I love this positioning here, hand on heart, hand on belly, connecting our heart coherence, what we want, our heart's desire, with that lower gut, that lower sacral area. One mantra that comes to mind right now is, I have a right to be in full expression. I have a right to create. I have a right to be in full expression. I have a right to create. That lower chakral area, that lower second sacral chakra is about creativity and sensuality, and that's why we're moving the hips. You could even still move your hips side to side here. Side to side, side to side. Wag that tail. Always staying open, receptive, blood flow, breath. Creating vital energy and attention to this area. Relax. Relax. You could stay here. I'm going to just cue you to these last poses. You could stay here for 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Feel the opening, the receptivity. And the next one we're going to end on, of course, you will always end on Shavasana. So I'm just going to cue you to Shavasana, which you'll come into at the very, very end. But before that, I'd like you to come into, as long as you like, your Viparita Karani. Viparita Karani is legs up the wall. You're going to take the side of your hip right up against the wall, come onto your back, and then pivot your legs up. And then scooch your butt down, your tailbone right down to the wall, where the floor meets the wall. Send your legs up. This is great for sleep, for neutralizing negative energy, for hormonal balance. It really helps with insomnia. It's really good for after a marathon too, by the way. One tool you could do is you could put a block between your legs. That reminds you gently to keep that engagement that we talked about. You know, you could put your fist between, again, squeezing the inner thighs into the fist. So that'll get you set up so that your core is engaged. Lower lumbar is pressed into the mat. Another option is to take a yoga strap and to tighten it against your feet so that your feet don't splay open. And then let your arms out wide, or one hand to your heart, one hand to your belly, and stay here for at least 20 breaths. You could stay here 5-10 minutes. And then when you are done, after many, many breaths or minutes, you'll just pivot away from the wall and come right into your final and closing asana, Shavasana. So you have these poses, something you can follow just as this practice is, or, you know, just take bits and pieces of it. So yeah, thanks for practicing with me. I just wanted to offer this, and I hope that you have a wonderful holiday season and look forward to the next time we speak.